A massive transfer request has reportedly been made by Viktor Gyökeres. Arsenal are favourites to sign him. He is bending over backwards to join them. A huge update from Fabrizio Romano in what could be the biggest breakthrough yet. We're, of course, going to talk about Bryan Mbeumo. Not only have United's second bid gone in and the deal was deemed imminent, more revealed about his salary, which will please Man United fans and undoubtedly upset the haters. We're talking on Gittens as well. A massive Ornstein bomb this morning. That deal is very close. Yes, Bayern Munich have reared their heads and showed an interest, but the player wants Stamford Bridge. He wants Chelsea. Plus, we're looking into a big demand by Manchester United in relation to the transfer fee of Alejandro Garnacho. We're taking your calls. We're speaking about these deals this morning. It's the Done Deal Show. Let's go, people. Welcome back to each and every single one of you. I always like to ask this question. Where are you watching from around the world? You can give me the town, the city, the country. Don't give me your address. That'd be weird. Let me know where you are watching from. Lots to talk about. We're taking your calls this morning, so we want to hear from you. We want you on the show. You're trying to express your opinions on some of these big developments that have come across in the last 12 hours or so. I want to start, though, with, it's not actually now titled this story, but I want to speak about it. And it's the situation with Alejandro Garnacho, because I've seen Man United fans kicking off about this morning, and I'm miffed. I'm a little bit miffed. According to Laurie Whitwell, Manchester United have told all potential suitors of Garnacho, you pay £70 million or the deal doesn't happen. United are setting a standard. United are setting a higher asking price. We know that Napoli want him. Juve have looked. Chelsea are a team that are still interested, irrespective of the Gittens deal that we'll get into a little later in the show. But United have set a £70 million price tag for the player. And all I'm really seeing online from Man United fans is this is a ridiculous demand. We're never going to be able to sell him at this price. This is crazy. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, sometimes it's enough to make you want to vomit in your mouth, because I've seen so many kind of, maybe they're trolling, but accounts getting angry about this. And I just think to myself, and I know a lot of these people are a little bit faceless and a little bit nameless, but of course we're right to demand that amount of money. There's multiple clubs looking at him. He's young with his whole career ahead of himself. Of course we're going to put that kind of price tag on him. The same as Newcastle will put 200 million now on Isak, but we'll never get that. 150 million was what Leverkusen wanted for Wirtz, but they didn't get that. Brentford were asking, and let's not get twisted in the story, 70 million base for Mbeumo. They're probably going to get somewhere in the region of 55 million in base. Every single club does what Man United are asking here, which is you set the asking price up here, where you know you're very happy to settle for something 10 to 20 million pounds less. But if you start the ceiling at the 50 million mark, you might end up only getting 35, 40. That's why I'm a little bit miffed. Man United fans should be 100% behind this. We should be completely supporting the football club, but we won't. We'll moan that it's too high. And then if we don't get it and we only get 55, it'll be, see, couldn't even win the negotiation battle. Well, we probably did win the negotiation battle. We know we're not getting 70 million pounds for him, but you've got to set the asking price high. If you want to sell your house for £500,000, like you need £500,000, you don't set the price at 480. You don't set the price at 500,000. You might sell it at 550, 560, 570. Because then a reduction makes it look like you're yielding, but you're still getting what you want. Basic 101. Basic 101. Come on, Man United fans. Wise up. Smell the damn coffee. Morning to everyone that's tuning in, by the way. I can see all your comments. I can see you all here. Thank you, Wes Bird. And look, it is spot on. And it is correct what I'm saying. Not because I'm a genius. Not because I know more than anybody else. it's just so typical in the transfer window. I really, I just really want United fans to support the club in helping to get these prices. And I think we could do that by being a little more positive about it. Just a little bit more positive. I don't... The thing is, all clubs do this. Why are we chastising our own club? We've got to set the price high. So we get a better price. We have to. We all sit there and go, I can't believe Liverpool get so much money for all these players. It's because they do what we're trying to do with Garnacho. It's because they do that. It's because they've done that for years and they're renowned for it. Come on. Crazy. 70 million is crazy. He's barely better than ESR, but that's not the point, is it? You're taking it so literally. Everybody is so pedantic and literal and over scrupulous. That's not what it's about. Maybe it's because people haven't ever done large scale, high level business to business sales. Maybe that's all this really is a lack of comprehension and a little bit of the Dunning-Kruger sort of effect, where people just with low competence in that level of sales are overestimating their abilities to get it done better. It could be that by and large. But there we go. Terry, I hope you aren't complaining when he's still there, ruining the preseason next month with the bro causing drama. No, I mean, because I don't think Man United are pricing him out of a move, because it isn't. Do you know what this isn't? Do you know what it is, Nathan? Okay, this is not how it works. Chelsea Football Club don't knock on the door. Hello, hi, it's Chelsea. Come in. We would like to buy Garnacho. 70 million, please. Whoa! And they run off. It's not FIFA or FC 25, as it's now called. It's not FIFA. It'll be they have negotiations. They want the player. And do you know what it is as well? Nath, me old mucker, me old China plate. They also overestimate the value of their players. So they know it's a part of the game. And it's a starting point of negotiations. If he's still here in 2 months' time, it's because no team really wants him. At the same time, Man United shouldn't be just going... Because if Man United just bent over now and went, all right, 30 million to get him out, the same people would say, you got done. You sold it too cheaply. Come on now. Let's stay relaxed. But no, I won't be moaning. I won't be moaning if we don't undersell him. No, because I've been complaining. What's damaged our club far more in the last 12 years has been underselling players. So no, my mind won't change. My mind is not going to change for a singular second whatsoever. Can you please tell Goldbridge that later, boss? Oh, as Mark said something different. I didn't watch Mark's stream this morning. Look, me and Mark are going to be live tomorrow, 11 a.m. on the Football Terrace. We'll bring it up then. We'll have a conversation about it. It won't be a slanging match. We're not going to get at each other, but we'll talk about it, because if he thinks it's wrong for us to do that, I disagree. I understand people's rationale that they want the player gone. It's better for the club. I think what's better for us in the longer term is getting a good price for players. I think it's so important for us. We have probably burnt 300 to 400 million pounds in underselling in the last 12 years. And by George, we could do with that money right now. Moving on from this story, though, I wanted to speak about the big news in relation to Arsenal this morning. And I suppose it does link into Manchester United as well. The problem is Fabrizio Romano in this story is confirming some of the Portuguese press's news. And if you believe everything that's coming out of Portugal, or you believe half of it, Arsenal are the primary target. What has been stated in relation to Gyokeres, I think, is massive. It says here that Gyokeres has already personally informed the sporting president about his desire to leave and no intention to play for the club anymore. Now, we have to be very mindful of this. You don't ever hear anymore the word transfer request as per the title of our video today. That's because it's in contracts. If players make transfer requests in a very direct and in a very specific way, they often forfeit bonuses that may not have been paid yet. A lot of the end of season bonuses don't get paid until near the start of the new season. Clubs structure it that way in the hope that a player leaves in the summer or hands in the transfer request and it become exempt. A lot of companies do this with their bonuses. So again, in the financial world I was in, bonuses were often paid in around about the March time of the year. But what used to happen is that often it was many, many months after your performance year ended. Sometimes it's more April, May, actually, not March, April and May. But your performance year ended in December. And one of the reasons the bank did this is in their hope that people would work their backside off for the 12 months, but then maybe get offered a new job or maybe have a bigger desire to leave. Or sometimes even if you gain promotion, it was within the contract of that department or within your contract that if you moved on, you were excluded from any bonuses you'd previously earned but hadn't yet been paid. Football clubs do exactly the same thing. So he hasn't handed in a transfer request in a technical sense, so in a direct sense, but technically that is what he's done here. He says here that Gyökeres wants a new chapter. He feels heartbroken after the exit pack and is not expected to return to training. So this has now been confirmed by Fabrizio, and this matches up with 3 reports from Portugal over the weekend that mentioned Arsenal directly. Now, Fabrizio isn't mentioning Arsenal directly. I think that is a direct request from the agent of the player. In case Arsenal go for Šeško, that is still a possibility. However, Court Offside this morning have stated that Arsenal are planning to submit their opening bid for Viktor Gyökeres in the coming days. Slightly behind what the Portuguese press have said, that Arsenal have already submitted a bid of sorts. Now, you never quite know whether they're verbal or whether they're official. I don't really think that matters too much. But it says they are kind of close to submitting that bid. It says Gyokeres has been clear that he wants to join Arsenal, and they have already had positive talks between the club and the agent. So look, the player and his team are really pushing this publicly now that they want out, they want to go. It's only really the Portuguese press that's really spouting the stories that it's Arsenal that is his desired club. I think it's because the Portuguese press do not care about. They know he's leaving Portugal, so this will probably be the last time they're reporting on Viktor Gyökeres. So from their perspective, they're just going to tell the stories as directly as that they hear them. They don't need to worry about maintaining a relationship with the agent, maybe. Well, the agent won't care because the agent will need the newspapers to sell stories to other clients at some point. But they certainly don't care about the relationship with Viktor Gyökeres because he's going to leave this summer. He's going to become a Premier League player. Where I think some of the British journalists are just being a little bit mindful that they don't run the Arsenal story in case he doesn't join. And then he's got to join another Premier League club. But yeah, it's already been published how much he wants Arsenal. So I think they're trying to play that down. But I think it's obvious to every single person with a brain that Arsenal Football Club is his desired, is his desired target, is where he wants to go, is the club that he wants to play for. And as I said last night on my own channel, Terry Flewis TV, Arsenal have an animal here. They've got an animal. And when I say they've got him, I don't really care for the semantics and the crybabies. If Arsenal want Gyökeres, he's theirs. If Arsenal pay the asking price or work out a deal with Sporting, they have got one of the best and most prolific strikers in the world in their squad. Arsenal should be bending over backwards to get this done, in my opinion. I understand they've got to try and get him for the right price. They're right in doing that. But he's there. He is begging, absolutely begging to be part of Arsenal. He's pushing for a way out. He's not going to return to training. He's forcing that move. And Arsenal football clubs are going to be the recipient. I have seen a few Arsenal fans online. I don't like his attitude. I don't like how he's behaving. I don't like how he's trying to get himself out of Sporting Lisbon. It's not right. I think you're being naive. This man had a promise made to him, and that promise hasn't been delivered. Just because that promise isn't in writing doesn't mean that it shouldn't be upheld. Shouldn't mean that he shouldn't push for it. And I think Gyökeres is doing it. It may not be seen as the right thing to do by individuals, but I think that actually if he's had that promise and he's allowed to move on, then it's right. It's Sporting here that are being shameless. It's Sporting that are trying to create a bidding war, and Sporting are losing that battle simply because the player has picked a club. And Man United and all the other potential suitors, Juve, we may be waiting in the wings, very much like the Mbeumo situation with Brentford. The reason they were never going to get the £70 million base they were cresting is because there isn't a bidding war going on here. Ironically, with Man United's thing with Garnacho that everybody's kicking off about, there are 2 or 3 teams interested. I still don't think we'll hit 70 million, but you might get 2 or 3 teams bidding for him. But typically now what happens is the player makes a preference, and then all the remaining clubs skulk off into the aisles, waiting for an opportunity if it arises. So look, I think this is really positive news again for Arsenal this morning. I know Gooners want the bid. I know Gooners want to see the here we go, but my gut feeling what's going on here is Sporting are still asking for too much money, and Arsenal think they can get the price down. Arsenal at this stage of the summer have no obligation to speed the deal up because the players picked them. If, for instance, I said it about Mbeumo, so the same thing about him. We had no need to bow down quickly to the demands of Brentford a couple of weeks ago, just so Man United fans could boast online. That isn't the club's prerogative. Arsenal shouldn't be paying 5 million, 10 million, 15, 20 million more than they can get a player for if there's no immediate need to get it done. The players pick the club. Nobody is threatening to hijack that move in any capacity whatsoever. There is no need for them to press the go button until they are comfortable with the deal. And Arsenal fans should be wholeheartedly behind that. Wholeheartedly behind that train of thought. They don't have to be behind signing Gyokeres. They may not like him. They may not be behind the approach of the sorts of targets and the profiles and how they're trying to play football. But in terms of should Arsenal pay more for a player than they demand right just to make fans feel happier online? No. Because we often, my kids always ask for sweets and they're not good for them. I'm not a good dad because I make them happy in the short term by giving them some sweets. I'm a good dad I let them have sweets every now and then, but I'm a good dad by saying no. There's some tomatoes, there's some carrots, and there's some cucumber with a little bit of hummus. That's what you can have as a snack after school. That, for me, is being a slightly better parent than cramming them full of E numbers and additives and whatever else are in fucking Haribo. So I think this is where football fans have got to learn to grow up a little bit. I know you want the deals, so you can go, oh, we got someone. But what? Paying above the odds doesn't work. It's stupid to do that. Come on. Back your football club here. Back your football club. Maradon here says, this is getting ridiculous. The same Arsenal news every day. Maradon, I'm really, really sorry that Fabrizio tweeted what he did and the community wants to speak about it. But you know what it is, my friend? We are not a news outlet. We're a fan media outlet. We talk about the news, but we're here as a community and we speak about what's going on. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, as you are with yours. But the difference with yours is a dig at the platform as opposed to the news. So you've got a choice, Maradon. You either come here to enjoy what we do or don't come here. That's it. The Football Terrace community enjoys what we do. If you don't want to be part of that and you don't want to enjoy it and you just want to be angry, please leave, Maradon. I respect that you come here a lot, but this doesn't seem like it's for you. You don't like it. I'm not changing. I like the content I make, and the majority of the Football Terrace community enjoy these conversations. If you don't like it, please leave. That's it. It's not positive, 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 positive. Oh, I don't like that. Positive, positive. It's everything you don't like about the platform, which is fair. But you don't need to be here. Okay. Arsenal, this is from the Aussie Gunner, who says Arsenal are chasing both these strikers and the media knows it, hence the news. Yeah, and I always think it's important for the news to be reported. And I also think it's important for fans to discuss it, because I think it tells you a lot of the story. I think Arsenal are looking at both. I still think they only want one of these two players. But I think that there's rationale and there's reasoning behind it. One could fall through. They've got a second one lined up. Two, I think they're testing some of the personalities of the players. 3, and I don't necessarily think, by the way, handing in a transfer request shows bad personality. Not in the professional world. It shows a desire for a really good striker to come to your club and help you win. If Arsenal fans see that as a negative, I am fucking miffed. Ironically, it's coming from the same fans who talk about standards. The irony is unfreaking believable. Unbelievable when people say that. It really, really is. The only reason Arsenal fans don't want Gyokeres is because it is reported that Berta wants him and Arteta wants Šeško. If Arteta wanted Gyokeres, the same people would be creaming their pants. Do you know what's really stupid about this, though? Not your comment, but what's stupid about that logic is that the actual credible reports state that Berta and Arteta get on well. There are disagreements, but they're what you would call a professional disagreement, not a slangy match, not hating each other, but they're both really respect and like the second choice in both directions. So it's not this case of Šeško or nothing for Arteta or Gyokeres or nothing for Berta. It's, and this is, do you know why I think football fans think this way, Kieran? Is because the world's too polarized. You know, the Messi Ronaldo debate. The Ronaldo fans would slag off Messi. Messi fans would slag off Ronaldo. Both sets of people, morons, because both players are two of the greatest to ever do it. But they wouldn't respect that. When I debate Gerrard Scholes, I never slag Gerrard off because I know he was top. So when I see people, Arteta's not sitting there going, nah, Gyökeres is shit, Berta. What are we doing? Berta ain't sitting there going, oh, why do you want to fucking sign that beanpole, you mug? They're not polarized. They are splitting hairs over two very good players. So to even have that train of thought shows an immaturity. It shows the immaturity of a 2-year-old kid. It's crazy. Not your comment, but people doing it. It's utterly embarrassing on every single level. Every single level. Jeff here says, players must have clauses so they don't bring the clubs into disrepute. Tell them to get themselves sorted out or the contract terminated and they can earn 50k a year like the rest of us. The thing is, though, Jeff, he has got a buyout clause. At the same time, if a promise is made, a promise is made. You know, if I turn around and verbally tell KJ I'm going to give him a bonus of X, and then I just don't do it, and I go, not in your contract, get on with your job, that's just wrong on every single level. It's wrong. Now, legally, nothing can be done to me, but just because you can't legally do anything about it doesn't mean it isn't wrong, you know? And I just think sometimes in life, we've got to be doing that. Stop you lying. You always slag off Gerrard to prop up Scholes. Do you know what, Maradon? My old mate, I'm done with you, bruv, because you're lying now. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to do everybody in the chat a favor. You're finished in here, bruv. You're done now. See you later. Take care. All the best. Best wishes to the family. See you later. So he's got to be gone for that. He's got to be gone for that. He's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go. Boring. 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 It's nice to get business done early, but as long as it's done before pre-season, doesn't really make a difference. Yeah, and look, still most signings for most clubs, typically speaking, happen during pre-season, during tours. So again, we have to be very, very mindful that we're not suddenly setting standards that that have never really existed. That's very, very important indeed. Triggered you, it seems. Do you know what it is? Sorry, I just want to go back to this really quickly. It isn't that he triggered me, because I'm still very calm, as you could see. It's just, I like a bit of banter, and many of you give banter, phone in and give banter, but it's every comment, it's just jarring. It's not funny anymore. And Maradon went away for a while. He came back, but now I must have had about 50 messages from my members. Again, oh, please, can you get rid of him? He's just always horrible to people, nasty to people. We give him warnings and he keeps on doing it. And then someone will defend me and then he'll get nasty with them. So it's about I want the community to be as nice as possible. And people like Maradon are just not very nice people. I hope he finds love and peace. I hope he gets the hug that he needs. But it's just boring now. You know, it's that. It's just dumb. Anyway, we're moving on from that and we're getting back to football. See, it's not getting rattled, my friend. It's about the community having respect for one another. You know, it's as simple and as straightforward as that. As a Man United fan, would you get Šeško or Ekitike? I'd probably go for Šeško because Ekitike, the positions that Ekitike drifts into, I think would be a little bit more. It would get in the way of Gyökeres, and sorry, not Gyökeres. He'd get in the way of where Cunha likes to play. So I do think that Šeško would be a better fit from a profile perspective. Although I do like Ekitike and think he's a good signing, I wouldn't scoff at it. But there we go. It is as simple and straightforward as that. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Rudeness isn't. It isn't even that. It's the lies. It's the consistent lies. Like, I don't sit here. I might have a dig at Gerrard every now and then as a joke, but you all heard my debate. I just don't like the way it's the consistent lies and the consistent, I don't like this content. Every day I don't like the content you're doing. Then you don't need to be here. So I'm just doing you a favor, really. It's like turning up to the same restaurant every day and saying, I hate every dish you ever make, but yet you turn up every day to eat here. You'd come a point where the restaurant would say, just go away then. You're not welcome. It just makes more sense. I'm doing Maradon that you don't like it, so you can just go away. There we go. Anyway, let's move on. What's the Gittens news? Now, this is a really big update this morning on Gittens. We're going to put the link in a few moments for you guys to call in and have your say. This is a little bit of a bomb, a very good bomb this morning for Chelsea fans in relation to Gittens. And this is what was said by David Ornstein. He stated that Jamie Gittens' proposed move from Borussia Dortmund to Chelsea could be done imminently. Now, the fact he put could in there was so interesting because he knows it's happening very, very soon. He says clubs continue to talk in the US and hope an agreement is reached swiftly, despite Bayern Munich's interest, a 20-year-old fully committed to Chelsea on a 7-year deal. And I think one of the reasons why this is suddenly the speed of this has increased is because Bayern Munich have shown an interest. So again, we go back to some of the consistent threads that we have had on the Football Terrace. If nobody else was showing an interest right now in Gittens, Chelsea may not have rushed this through. They may have waited till after the Club World Cup, which could end for them in the next game, potentially. But because Bayern has shown an interest and they're a big, powerful club, they now know they have to move quicker and get the deal shut down. I think this is an excellent move for Chelsea. I've done a bit more research into the player in the last few days. I don't think it completes their attack. I don't think it makes them champions of England or anything along those lines. But Gittens is really talented, and they're getting him for a good price. Now, this man sits in the 99 percentile in terms of dribbling success, and it's top quality. He's very good ball control, very tricky on the ball, and very much a nightmare for defenders. He has great transitional power, amazing acceleration and pace. And on top of that, I actually think he is more of a goal threat than his stats may detail. I think this is a player that he may only be 20. He demonstrates a really good willingness to shoot in games, but I think he's going to start to convert more as he gets older. When you watch him shoot and you watch him attack, I'm not going to talk about it like he's going to be Cristiano Ronaldo, because that improvement on goals was no one saw that coming. But I think he's got the ability to be a 10 to 15 goal a season player, the ability to develop into that. He also reminds me, forget the injuries. He reminds me of Christian Pulisic at a younger age. Now, Pulisic was a very talented player, but injuries and everything else, I think, stopped his development. Gittens has got a little bit of that about him. There's sort of a directness in the way he plays. And I like direct players. I always have done. And I think this is going to be a really good bit of business for Chelsea. I still think they need more for the squad. But as an individual, isolated piece of business, really, really good indeed. Really, really good indeed. So I think that, they're going to get this done. Going to add this to the front line along with the lap. They still need more. They're still looking, by the way, at Garnacho. They're still looking at other attackers. But this is a big deal for Chelsea. Really, really big deal. Want to get your views, want to get your opinions on it. And imminently is what David Ornstein has had to say about this deal this morning. Let's have a little look here on some of your comments. Chelsea buying anyone who's anyone again. Well, you don't think there's no strategy to this whatsoever? None. You've got to break that down, my Omni. You've got to break that down. Break that down. Sean here says 7-year deal. Yeah, they offer long contracts at Chelsea. They offer very, very long contracts at Chelsea. Absolutely brilliant content, Tell. Spot on Arsenal, mate. Why pay more when the player only wants you? Absolutely correct. Unless this situation happens. So, for instance, if Liverpool started sniffing around Gyokeres, they might go, do you know what? I know we're trying to get an extra £8-9 million off, but Liverpool are now circling. Boom. Let's get it done. Let's get it out of here. Absolutely right. Let's have a little look here. Gittens wanted Arsenal move, but Arsenal never went for him. Yeah, he would have been a very good player for you guys. Excellent. He would have been as good a player for you as he's going to be at Chelsea. I think he'll be a success as well. I think he'll do very, very well at Chelsea Football Club. I really do. Let's have a look at some of your comments here. We have a super chat here that says, is it just me or does every manager at United not get who they really want? Sorry, that moved on my screen. As the club knows in 2 or 3 years, there'll be another manager and just more players who don't fit the system. I don't think it's that reasoning, but that's why we need a club plan. And the next manager has to suit the profiles of players that we're bringing in. They need to be like a white label solution, a bit of a plug and play in that regard. But no manager, even Fergie, has ever got all the players that he wanted. The difference was if we didn't get the main man that we wanted, we'd go for other profiles that fit what the team and system needs. The issue that Man United have had in the past is Fred's a great example. He didn't fit what Jose wanted or needed. Van der Beek didn't fit what we wanted or needed. I really like the signing of Martial, but he played in exactly the same parts of the pitch that Memphis Depay did. We bought them both in the same window. It didn't make any sense. So it's either we buy the wrong profiles or we overpack a certain area of the pitch and we're not balanced. I mean, we still really haven't resolved the right wing attack at Man United for well over a decade. It's crazy when we're getting towards 20 years without having someone of a top class to world class level in that position. Valencia did well and Nani did well for a few years. Outside of that, it's been drab. We still haven't addressed it. So I don't think it's but look, Fergie missed out on Gaza and Shearer, Batistuta and others. But it's about then going for another. Like when we missed out on Frankie de Jong, hindsight's lucrative. We then should have found a different player that's like Frankie de Jong and carried on building out from there rather than changing direction every 5 minutes. Really important to do that as a football club. Let's have a look here. Do you think United's directors should be called out individually more for bad windows like players? I mean, Mark puts all problems on directors, negotiators, glazers. Yeah, I mean, you can call individuals out, but by and large, you go to the people running the show. If things are consistently bad, I don't think United so far have had a bad summer. I mean, there was news last night that Casemiro is close to leaving. The Portuguese record have now just actually said that Casemiro is not close to signing for El Nassr. I don't know why the Portuguese record have picked up on that more than anybody else. But there's positive news this morning about Sancho and Fenerbahce. There's positive news about Anthony. I feel like, again, I'm going to judge our window towards the end of it. Who's gone, who's come in, how prepared are we for the beginning of the season? I think people are judging it on a daily basis and their minds keep changing depending on the news. Because, we could get a here we go later today for Mbeumo, then put a bid in for Emi Martinez, then see 3 players get sold in quick succession, and everyone go, oh my God, this is the best window in years. But yet 3 days prior to that, they were saying everyone's got to be sacked. I think we just should calm down a little bit, personally. I know that doesn't make the most compelling content, but there we go. Portugal talking about a Brazilian player for the English teams possibly transferring to Saudi. Yeah, I mean, there's the Portuguese-Brazilian connection there. You could be right. Curious, Terry, did you like Anderson when he played for United? I always thought he was a baller. I liked Anderson. Very good technically. People don't remember his opening season. Some of the games he had, I remember away against Liverpool. I watched him and just thought, wow, we've got something special here. And then I think 2 or 3 cruciate knee ligament injuries later, plus a habit for eating crisps and KFC, kind of ruined him a little bit. But talent-wise, yes, Anthony was amazing. Neves here says, Gittens had good stats as a winger first half of last season, but after they changed coach, he played at 10, which didn't fit him. Chelsea need a winger. It's a really good point, and I think that's sometimes why context, even in stats, needs to be looked at. I really do believe there's a real talent in Gittens, a real solid player that could really help to elevate Chelsea's attack. And as I've said already, I don't think it completes their summer window, but I think it certainly makes it stronger. Speaking of summer windows, I will an update on, obviously, we all heard the news last night about the Mbeumo situation. A really interesting update today is that this comes from Jamie Jackson, who has now stated that Bryan Mbeumo could earn at least 150k per week when he joins Manchester United. And it's funny how the news of his salary has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown and grown and grown. But then the closer he gets to becoming a Man United player, it seems to be shrinking back down again. There's something kind of comedic about that in many ways. But let's just say he's in and around that. I mean, what I was told all along by 2 credible journalists I respect is that Mbeumo will be earning around £180,000 a week base, which I think is fair for a player of his age, who is Premier League proven, who just scored 20 league goals, who you were selling the idea of being one of the main pieces of rebuilding the most famous club in England and one of the biggest clubs in the world. I think you're not paying above the odds. You're also not paying peanuts either, because right now we can't afford to pay peanuts. We've got to pay for good quality players. But I do think it's funny how much less now the media are reporting on it being compared to just 2 weeks ago when people were talking about 250s and 300Ks a week. Hilarious in many ways that was being said. So, yeah, I like the fact we're getting him. And I also like this as well. And I said this on last night's stream. It's why I played, I never thought Spurs would get him by hijacking. But I was very happy for the story to run because you played the long game with the banter. Now what we have is Spurs getting rejected twice in one summer for the same player for Man United. Now what you're getting, no, we didn't get rejected twice. Well, you tried to get him the first time, and then you came back, according to the media that you all run with, and the only Spurs fan in my group chats who didn't was Josh King. Big up yourself. He's the only one who was like, I just don't see this. This is nonsense. I don't even believe it. Most of the others, I think we've got a great chance. I think we'll get him. Now they'll say, nah, we didn't. Remember what I told you they would say? Nah, we didn't even go back in, bruv. Just paper talk. Look, Alistair Gold has said we didn't even go back in. Nah, mate. We're going to go with the first narrative everyone run with, and that's the double dip rejection. The double dip rejection. Yeah, but sometimes it's better to play the long game, people. But people can't do that. Everything's got to be the hero. No, it's not even true. Let it be true. If they get him and we get rejected, we'll take it on the chin. But if they don't and they get the double dip rejection, if you that's the real banter there. Hey, come on now. Come on. We've got to do better with that type of thing. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the deal we're getting for him. Excellent player, highly talented. And I think between him and Cunha, it's 35 league goals last season being added to that front line. Excellent. 17th, get rejected for 15th. Wow. Yeah, but also the team that came third and the team that came fifth also rejected for the same player. So thank you and good night. Why is no one in for Jonathan David? He's been smashing it under the radar for years. Look, I'm not his biggest fan. I think he's good, but that's about it. You've got to read into the fact that no one's trying to buy him. This is where we all have to be objective. And I do this as an example when it comes to the situation with Osimhen. I like Osimhen. I think he's a good player. I love watching him play. I think he'd be excellent. But I have to be objective in the fact that no one's willing. I think he's worth the salary that many clubs that he's asking for. And maybe not for Man United to do it because we're trying to lower our wage bill. We're rebuilding. That may not work for our dynamic right now. But the teams that are fighting for titles and already in title races, I don't see why he's not worth 400 grand a week. I think he's that good a striker. But the fact that no one's willing to pay it, I need to be objective and go, maybe I'm wrong about him. And I think that's what we struggle with, Jay. I think what we really struggle with is being objective and going against our own thoughts, feelings, and opinions. And going, actually, I like someone, but let's have a look. I always talk about, there's a singer that I listen to called Lamar. He was on Fame Academy in England. I love so much of his music. I think he's amazing. But I'm also objective in it and to go, well, I think he's brilliant, but he doesn't sell very many records comparatively to other British stars or world stars. So is he the best singer in England? No. Is he one of my favorites? Absolutely. You can be objective towards something that you subjectively like, and we do that a lot with players. I like him, my football knowledge, and I think a lot of it, and I'm not saying you do this, Jay, but a lot of people, how how people perceive their football knowledge is so important for them. It's like it's going to go on their CV. It's like they're going to get a star and put it on their fridge for their mummy, because it's like, I need people to think I've got good ball knowledge. I don't get the obsession with it, even though I'm a football content creator, and I do want people to resonate with what I say and do. But if I say Wayne Rooney was world class and someone says you don't know ball, I'm so confident in my own opinions, is in I believe they may not always be not everyone will agree with them, but I believe I have rationale that holds water in everything I say. I don't need the validation. You know, I get a lot of stick on my own channel, Terry Flewis TV. I do a video about Liverpool and how brilliant their business is. All I get is praise from, oh, wow, cheers, I'm biased. I go, that's a masterstroke from Arsenal if they pull that off. Scumbag, why are you bigging them up? Hang on a minute. So you're being subjective in your criticism and your praise, where I'm just being objective and telling you how I view things through an unbiased lens. But the way it triggers you is you're the one being biased, not me. But there we go. You're not wrong, though. Osterman deserves that money. Yeah, I mean, opinion-wise that, but objectively, if no one's willing to pay it anywhere in the world, barring Saudi, I have to question whether my opinion is right. I do. If I think X movie is the best in the world ever, but barely anybody goes to the cinema to watch it, no one buys the DVD, not that DVDs exist anymore, but no one downloads it when it comes out. Nobody barely watches it. It has a 5.6 rating on the Internet Movie Database. It's got a low rating from the fans on Rotten Tomatoes. There comes a point where I have to objectively go, well, it probably isn't the best movie in the world ever. It might be my favorite, but you have to be objective and go, maybe my opinion on a wider scale is wrong. You know? You know, the Arsenal fans, Pepe's a baller, Pepe's amazing. What's he done since? Objectively, they were wrong. The Zaha debate, I got told forever he was world class. Look at his career, he wasn't. Very talented footballer. I wish I was as good as him, but he wasn't as good as you were saying. Objectively, you're wrong. And I think we've got to learn as human beings to be more objective when it comes to these conversations. I really, really do. We're going to share the link now for you guys to phone in and have your say. I can't wait to hear from you all this morning. Can't wait to hear your opinions. Can't wait to hear what you got to say about, listen, so many updates and so many different bits and pieces today circulating in relation to Arsenal, United, Chelsea. So you're very excited to hear what you've all got to say. I've just posted the link now in the chat. I'm going to pin it as well. It's going to come through on my screen in a minute, I hope. Has it come through? There it is. There it is. I can click that and I can pin the live chat as well. Make sure you've got the like button hit as well, please. Really, really important to us that you get that done this morning. And then when I see you guys appear below, we'll get you on. Did I miss any super chats? I want to make sure I didn't. Let me just click this button here. No, we've done them all. I just wanted to make sure. You know, sometimes I just want to make sure I didn't miss them. The other day, that none of them showed up on my screen. I missed 2 or 3, and I really do. Actually, one of them was from the Gunner Down Under, I think. So I appreciate you guys being here. Sorry, I got itchy head. Oh, one of them stressful mornings today. One of those stressful mornings. Right. So, and by the way, Gunner Down Under, thank you very much for becoming a member. We're going to have Cal on the line with us to begin with. Today, let me just get my earphones on so I can hear what's being said to me. Let me turn them down. I have my earphones up really loud because sometimes I listen to music from my computer, but I have the earphones as the speaker, which I don't know why I do that. And then I put them on sometimes and they're really loud and people talk and it fucking nearly deafens me. So remember to turn that down. We're going to get Cal on first of all this morning to have a chat with us. Cal, welcome back to the show, my friend. Look, some really interesting news today, and I'm gonna get your opinions not just on some Arsenal stuff, but we'll touch on the other teams as well. But essentially, according to Fabrizio, confirming the news from Portugal of a transfer request from Gyokeres today. Again, reiterating he won't be coming back. Let him go. He won't be training. He won't play for the club again. Thoughts on that approach by Gyokeres and his team?
I think the Gyökeres news is pretty exciting. And he has been so... It's kind of weird because usually people don't do that for Arsenal, at least not someone at his caliber. Usually you hear players like that kind of do that for Madrid all the time, or Barcelona, where they essentially, will push their clubs hard to kind of come to your club. So especially because he's the kind of striker I want in the most. The fact that he's pushing so hard and he's putting in transfer requests and he's trying really hard for the move, that is very, very, it's very uplifting. It's very positive. And it's also good news to hear that the Sesko stuff isn't working. So that's my bias there, because I want Gyökeres over Sesko. So hearing the Sesko as well, you're hearing rumors about the Sesko stuff not going so well, and then the Gyökeres, even though it's not concrete, at least from the player side, he is trying his best, and I think that's really positive. And I think just so far, I think for the past couple of days, I think it's barely been ramping up all the Arsenal news in terms of who we're linked with and what the kind of business that we're doing. It's looking pretty positive for us.
Yeah, I think it is. I do think it's looking positive, and I know that Arsenal fans want these deals done, dusted, and over the line. I get that there's preferences around which players everybody wants as well, and I get that and I respect it. But I just feel that, United have gone through this with Mbeumo, and let's see what the price ends up being. It was always felt that it would end up being somewhere 50 to 55 million plus around 10 million in add-ons. I think that's what it's going to end up being. But of course, what they were demanding initially, Brentford, was 70 million plus add-ons. So the club, because we won the race, there was no need for us to rush and go, oh, okay, Brentford, there's your 70 million plus 10, there's 80 million. When we might end up bringing him in for a total of 62, 63 million. So you're saving the better part of 20 million pounds in that situation. And the only reason that fans can give to rush it through was they wanted the dopamine hit. They wanted the here we go now, so they could kind of gloat and celebrate and I can do some compilations. And actually, yes, the club have got a duty to make fans happy, but that duty comes on the football pitch when the season's on. What they shouldn't be doing is speeding up deals, paying over the odds, or making poor decisions just to give short-term satisfaction to supporters. I think that is a not crazy and narcissistic approach from supporters, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Now, if, for instance, people are like, well, I just want us to hurry up, because if we don't hurry up, we're just going to have we always have bad windows. It's like, well, if you think you're going to have a bad window because you buy wrong, what does buying the wrong players faster do? It still don't make sense, right? If you think
I mean, everyone hates Kai Havertz. That was the first player we bought in the Declan Rice window. We bought him with the swiftness. I think we all wish we took our time with that decision. You know what I'm saying? And just from the whole deals taking too long, I think I was really impatient at the start of the window, but now that I've kind of calmed down because you just get in the flow of the transfer window, and just because we have so much business to do, we do kind of have to try and get good deals done on all fronts, because I think everyone in the fan base is saying, oh, we need 6 or 7 players coming in. Well, we can't get 6 or 7 players coming in if we don't get good deals for players, especially with the caliber of players that we're linked to. We already kind of gotten Zubamendi off the line, which was like 50 million. Then we're trying to get Gyökeres, who's probably going to be 60 million. And then everyone wants Rodrigo, which is quoted 77 million. And then Partey might be going, and we might need to spend another 20 million in another DM, and then we're linked to Hato, who's probably going to be another 25 million. So it's a lot of money, and we like us, kind of trying to take our time to get these deals done makes sense, as long as our key targets are in before, preferably before the preseason, and definitely before the season starts because of that United game first up. I think we'll be fine. I think, and especially because of the way things are heating up now, I'm pretty confident that we're going to get our business start to get done over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you are doing more, and there's always a thing about balancing. There's always a thing about balancing the books, and there's always a necessity to do that, because yes, the revenues have gone up at Arsenal, and you were averaging between 2013 and 2023 between sorts of the mid 300s to sometimes 500 million. You're in that range, and for the 2023-24 season, that flew up to over 700 million because you're back in the Champions League, so you're going to maintain that. The issue that you have is that your wages and everything go up in that time period too. So around 50 to 60% of that 700 odd million pound coming in, and let's just be conservative with that and say 55%, that means nearly just under 400 million of that is going to be used in salary straight away. Plus you've got all the other expenses of running a football club. So your match day revenue goes up, but then because you've got more games that get more attraction, but your police presence and the cost of running those days goes up. So the idea that you can just spend 300-400 million because your revenue's gone up is crazy, because other expenses go up as well. Players' bonuses because you're in the Champions League go up. So you need to sell, and you need to buy players at the right price. Otherwise, as you say you've got to target 6 players, but the first player you overpay by 15 million, then you overpay by 10 million, then you overpay by 20 million. By the time you get the 4th player or maybe the 5th player signed, there's no money left for the 6th guy.
Yeah, exactly. And we have too much business to get done.
Especially if you're underselling at the same time. It's why I said to United today, there's no point setting an asking price of 30 million, 40 million for Garnacho and then getting less in than that. You need to set the bar high and try your best to at least hit valuation, if not surpass that valuation. And that's why the Liverpools are spending now. But that's why Chelsea, how can Chelsea and City keep spending money? Because they sell well. And they never really pay that. They do very well negotiate, especially Chelsea City. They negotiate the price down every single time. Have they got in for 30 million? Have they got this? Have they got that? Because of years of being prudent. And this is the bit that annoys me. Your club and my club, our fans want the same. I want to move like City, want to move like Liverpool. But they didn't start doing this day one. This has been years of creating that almost aura about them in that room. And I've likened it to this. I've got a friend. She's always moaning about how Man United operate in the market, but she's a gym head. Like, she is sick. Like, she can lift like squat 3 times her body weight, and she's tiny, is in size, but she's been doing it 10 years. And I said this to her. I said, look, when you first went gym, you weren't doing what you can do now physically. I don't know what that exercise is called. It's like the bar with the roller in the middle, and you roll forward to do.
Yeah, the abs workout thing. Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you. If I do that, I'm on my knees, bruv. I'm doing it on my knees, right? Yeah. She's the kind of person, she can do it where she goes from standing up, bending down, go out, hold it for 5 seconds, and then go back and stand up again. She does like 3 sets of 15, right? Now, my point to her was, your logic about United have got to act like City now is like saying the day you join the gym, if you can't do what you're doing 10 years later, just quit. Just don't do it. It doesn't make sense. You build up to that level. We've got to reestablish ourselves and rebuild respect in the industry. And I think that's why I'm not someone that's like, no, just get it done. I think that's it's a short-termist attitude, in my personal opinion. Now, the only time I agree with it, where it's right, is if suddenly you're going to miss out on Gyokeres and you have to pay the extra 5-10 million, but you're going to miss out on him. That's where it might be worth it. And you've got to weigh up that risk versus reward. But I just think the way some football fans are behaving this summer, I find it a little crazy, personally.
Yeah, and it's also the complaining about certain things that just doesn't make any sense. For example, with trying to sell Zinchenko, a lot of people are upset that he's going for about probably 10. He's probably leave the club for 10 million. But the problem is, because of his high wages, we need to sell him cheap if we want him off the books. No one's going to spend 30 million on Zinchenko, and he's getting paid $100,000 a week. And that's a problem that we have with a lot of our players. And right now, Arsenal, it's kind of hard for fans to kind of take a step back and think about like the long term of the club, because no one wants to think about long term because of we need to win next season, and I get that. But we had to overpay these players to get them in so we can get to this point. Now, the reason why Cities and Liverpools, the wage bill for some of their players are not as high as some of ours. I mean, Luis Diaz, I think he's on like 60 million a week. I mean, like 60,000 a week, whereas like Reece Nelson on ours is like on 100K. So we can't do that because we're not winning yet. So we had to overplay some of these players to get to this point. But now it's a bit of a reshuffle. We don't want to overplay players. We need to get some of these guys off the books, and it's gonna take time.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
agree.
So.
And even with Zinchenko going for 10 million, you're still probably going to make a £3 to £4 million profit this season against his book value, because you didn't buy him for a lot of money, but he is on those big wages. Wages are more of an impact, are generally more of an issue to a club than the book value when it comes to buying somebody new. And you've got to remove it. And at the same time, the same people moaning are the same people that all they've said about him for 2 years is he's dog shit. So you're now moaning that your club isn't getting more than £10 million for a player that you've said is dog shit. The logic is flawed. If he's as bad as you say, getting 10 million quid for him should be seen as a good thing. This is the point I'm making. We always have bad windows. Why haven't we got the bad deal done quicker? Well, why does it matter if it's bad anyway? It feels to me like it's how can I look at what my club is doing and find something to moan about? And the thing is with United, if Man United just went and took 30 million for Garnacho to get him out, the same people complaining that we shouldn't be asking for 70 would say, why have we sold him so cheaply? We're so bad at business. Whatever the club does, I think they'll moan. And I just think that and all of our fan bases have people like that. They are never, and I even think if and when we start winning league titles again, it'll be, but look how many years it took us, and are we going to retain it now? And this, I still think they're just, and I'm at that point now where I never think they're going to be happy. It's almost just it will just be a perpetual cycle of being miserable. I really believe
I mean,
now.
if your team starts winning, like for example, because every fan base has Arsenal, like if we win the title next season and people are complaining, I'm gonna probably crash out. Like there's no way. There's no way we do that.
No, I do hear you. And look, the only reason I say that is because I've heard, for instance, and I'm talking about Man United fans here, what I heard between March and May, I don't know if you saw these stories, but United were going to do what Chelsea did and just buy kids and kids and kids. And everybody moaned and moaned and moaned. If we do the kids thing, we're in trouble. First two players that one's done, one's going to happen, are mid to late 20s, Prem proven, high level, high physical, goal scoring, attacking players. Not one word from the negative United fans going, you know what? Those articles are wrong. So therefore, maybe the next time one of those journalists writes something negative about Ineos and the club, maybe you take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt, because they got if they didn't know this, our strategy towards transfers this summer has been the complete opposite to what they said. Yet there's no objectivity of, do you know what? I'm not going to be an Ineos fan yet, but I'm going to maybe not have a knee-jerk reaction to every story I don't like, because the same journalist talking about the swap deal for this player and doing that, they got that wrong. So there's a possibility they're not right about everything. And it's just about being a little bit more objective. You might go, I hate the idea of this. I hope we don't do it. But you don't need to go, I hate the idea of this. I'm never fucking trusting these owners again. They're pricks. Then it doesn't happen. And instead of going, I got that wrong, it's let's move on to the next thing to be angry about, as opposed to actually a lot of what they told us we were going to do hasn't even happened yet. So therefore, maybe just sit on the fence for a few weeks and just chill out a little bit.
The transfer window is way too reactionary for that. Like, you know that. Come on. No one's gonna reflect during the transfer window. There's no way. Everyone's just gonna hop onto the next story.
Yeah, no, it's just, again, everyone's entitled to an opinion. You don't have to like the idea of signing Garnacho. You don't have to like the idea of getting Gittens. You don't like the idea of getting Gyokeres. The isolated opinions are not the problem. It's when I sit there, like we had the Arsenal fan called in the other day. He was a really respectful guy. Not my job to tell you what targets we should go for. Then why is it your job to say which ones you don't like? If you're going to have a public conversation and debate about something, it should at least be formed in terms of, I do like these players, I don't like these. It just feels like everything's always weighted in. I'll moan when I don't like something, but I won't give any suggestions around what's better. It feels lopsided.
I don't believe that though. I think that's a bit of a cop out, because if you dislike something that the club is doing, you obviously have an idea of what you would like the club to do.
Yes.
There's no way you're just sitting there stewing. I don't like this. Then what do you want?
Exactly.
I don't know. It's like, okay, no one
It's
really
Saturday
thinks like
afternoon,
that.
and the missus says we're going to go shopping. You go, I don't want to go shopping. That's because you want to go somewhere else. Well, what do you want to do? When the response is, I don't know, that's a lie. Every single person, male or female, every single person that says I don't want to do something, it's because they want to do something else. That's if you're bored and you've got nothing to do, rarely do you go, I don't want to do that, because you're bored, right? If you're literally neutral, you'll go, well, let's give it a go. The reason people don't want Arteta to stay is because they've got other managers they would prefer. But if they don't have other managers they prefer, that's when I start to go, something feels a little bit off. I don't get it then.
Oh, no, for that one, I think it's just that people just want a change, and I think that's the change that they think that they want. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, okay, we need Arsenal needs to switch up in tactics, and we need to switch up. I don't know what that is, but I just want an entire switch up.
And do you know what? But then people can be honest about it. So when people say, I haven't thought enough about that, but I want to change, I want to play more like this, then I'm like, that's still a constructive answer. When that's not my job, what my gut feeling is that you want the support of the people that want Arteta out, or want Amorim out, or want whoever out, but you don't want to give us your suggestions to who you want, because you might lose their support. That happens a lot in political commentary when people go, I think we should tax the rich more. Why? What would you do with the money? I'd make more bombs. Everyone go, whoa, they're not your friend anymore, right? So people like to give half the answer. So they get the support of people that want the same as them, as in what action they want to see taken. But the remedy, for me, the real debate is in the remedy. But
the thing is, a lot of the times why people don't suggest managers as well is because they don't want their opinion interrogated. So if you say you wanted Inzaghi, and then someone who actually watches Inzaghi week in, week out kind of know the formation and starts to poke holes, and okay, Inzaghi plays this way, but that doesn't suit the way Arsenal plays. And then they and because they don't want to have that argument, because they actually really don't know how Inzaghi plays, they just like the name. They would rather just not say anything.
No, I agree. And I think people, and my view is this, no one has to argue and have a debate, but you do if you're going to go public with your opinion. I think if you're going to go on, a YouTube channel, you're going to tweet an opinion, if you're going to make TikTok videos, if you're going to do these things, I think you have an obligation, if you're putting yourself into that window, to have a two-way conversation where you're challenged and they're challenged, and you actually respond, as opposed to that's not my job. I do think that is in a debate, in an argument, and in a debate, that's a cop out, personally. And the maddest bit is, I think a lot of people don't realize your opinion might really resonate with people. If you don't give it, it's not going to be there. Bro, listen, I appreciate you coming on, having your say. Top man. Thank you. We'll chat again soon, Cal. Thank you. Next on the show, we have Jack. What are you saying, Jack? You're on mute, brother. If you can unmute that line for me, please.
God damn. How you doing, Terry?
I'm very, very well. Jack, let everybody know who you support, please.
I support Chelsea.
Lovely. What's your reaction this morning to the Gittens news? Imminently could happen, according to David Ornstein.
Please let this happen. I don't want to hear the word of Garnacho. I'm praying to the football gods. No Garnacho in my club. If there's only one way for it, I would love to do the same thing with Sancho. Do a loan and do a £5 million back. Send him back to United.
What is it you like about Gittens?
What I've seen, I've looked at him, and he is a pretty good dribbler, and he does take on his man, and he actually does beat him quite a bit. When I've looked at it, like that one person said, the first half of the season he was at the wings, and then when they changed manager, he was a 10. So really, when people say, when they're saying Gittens is bad, I think the Dortmund fans are only looking at the second half of the season, but not thinking about the first. If he was at the wing through the whole season, I feel like he would have been up maybe on a better light.
Yeah, look, I didn't realize he was moved to the 10 role until I was reading about him, and somebody mentioned it a little bit earlier on today as well. I think the context needs to be given, but he's a very good one-on-one dribbler. I do think he's got an eye for a goal and can develop. The only downside, I think, is that His finishing, as an example, is something that needs development. You're not bringing somebody in who's already scoring 15, 20 league goals a year and looks like they can add more. It's someone that may get to that level. So I think he's a very good addition to the package that you put together this summer. I still would like to see Chelsea. They've got the lap. Looks like they're going to get Gittens. If they get one more attacker, if they could find someone maybe a little older, maybe a little bit more experienced, maybe someone who's played in the Champions League already, just to give a little bit more sort of stability and I say that experience to that attacking line, I think that'd be really positive. But as an individual signing, I think Gittens could be an amazing acquisition for Chelsea.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna be at some point we're gonna be called Man City 2.0 because we're taking quite a bit of academy players from them.
Yeah,
and,
you are.
And also the manager that they had in the Prem 2 side. But also just to say like that, yeah, I would love like an experienced player, maybe like this is probably gonna be impossible, but like Rodrigo, for example. Like he is like the definition of experience, played in Champions Leagues, won it with Madrid. And when he's had limited minutes, comes off the bench and makes an impact. He made an impact against my side in the Champions League semi-finals at one point.
Do you know what? I don't think it is beyond the realms of possibility. There's a lot of talk he could leave. There's a lot of talk he may go. There's a lot of talk that there's problems there. Arsenal seemingly are in for him, but let's have it right. I think Arsenal would be a lot of people's favourites. However, Chelsea have beaten Arsenal and Man United and all of us, Liverpool, all to players in recent years, and it would not shock the world if Chelsea landed in. The only stumbling block is potentially the salary. Potentially.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons you're not looking at Osimhen too much salary, Gyokeres too much salary. So he is going to want 250, 300k a week. If Chelsea are not willing to pay that, that would be the only thing I feel would stop you. But from an attraction point of view, you're there, mate. No doubt about it. Jack, listen, I want to thank you for coming on, mate, and having your say. Top man.
You too. Thank you, Derek.
Thanks, bro. All the best, mate. And I'm sorry to all the other callers that are backstage. We've got no time left on today's show. We'll try and get, there's quite a lot of you back there. We'll try and get you all on again at some point soon. I want to thank everyone who's hit the like button, all the super chatters, all of our members. Obviously, we went to members only chat for the second half of the show. So I want to thank you all very much for that. We had a comment that came in actually that I wanted to go to. One of our members that said, Terry, are you happy with your club if Onana and Højlund stays? Depends on the rationale, but not overly, no. I'd be disappointed at that decision. And that's also about being balanced. So say we have a really good window and we sign another number 9, Mbeumo. So say we get Mateta, Mbeumo, Cunha, Wharton, I don't know who else, Inacio. But then we keep those two. It's not a disaster because we've bought some really good players. But say we keep Onana, but we also sign Emi Martinez, then it's less of a problem. Does that make sense? So it's not about keeping the two of them in isolation. If, say we get rid of Onana and Emi Martinez comes in and we buy all the other players that I've mentioned, but then Rasmus is here as a backup striker, again, not the end of the world because we still improve the area. So it's not about one or two of them staying individually. Like I've stated about the transfer window for clubs, it's the overarching package. Was this summer ever going to be perfect? It's impossible to make it perfect in everybody's eyes. You're never going to. You can never please everybody all of the time. But it's about, have we improved the attack? Have we improved the midfield? Have we improved the goalkeeping position? If the answer is yes to those questions, then there's a good chance I'm satisfied with the window. On paper, of course. Ideally, though, I'd like to see those players move on. But both of them are hard to move on because we don't want to lose money on either of them. And sometimes it might be better to loan one out or to keep one in the squad until next year, potentially. But we will see. Great question, though. Really, really good question. Listen, please, if you guys hit the like button for us, if you subscribe, that's amazing. We're back at around 3:45 today for Straight Facts, a little bit later because I've got to pick the kids up from school. Do me a favor before you leave, though, and make sure you get that bell notification button turned on. This is going to redirect you to a stream that Jamie, that's on our show yesterday, Jamie Story, is doing later today. So go and support his channel. Go and subscribe over there for us, please. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I will see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.